Welcome back, focused learners. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out what the heck is going on with the shifting landscape of modern creativity right now, you are absolutely in the right place. Today in this explainer, we're completely tearing down a massive, widespread misconception. We're reframing artificial intelligence. We're not looking at it as a replacement for human ingenuity, but rather as the ultimate creative super tool. We're going to look closely at how this technology actually elevates the artist, instead of burying them.
Look at this question for a second. Seriously, let it sink in. Are we witnessing the end of the artist or the end of their limitations? It's a heavy, provocative hook, right? I mean, every single day you hear people who are just absolutely terrified that the machine is coming for their passion, their livelihood, their whole identity. But as we'll see as we go on this visionary, documentary-style journey through the data and history today, that whole narrative of doom, it's fundamentally flawed.
Section 1. The Cycle of Creative Fear. Historical Precedents of Technological Disruption. All right, let's dive into this. We kind of have to look back at history first, because this enduring myth that new technology destroys art is practically as old as art itself. Whenever a paradigm shifts, the initial reaction is always fear. Let's walk through this timeline of creative tools which really disarms that initial defensiveness. Number 1, the brush. Honestly, revolutionary in its time. Then, number 2, the camera. Oh man, when photography was invented, portrait painters literally thought their entire world was collapsing. They thought, why paint reality when this machine just captures it perfectly? But the camera didn't kill painting. By automating strict realism, it forced painters to capture emotion and light, and it actually birthed Impressionism. Crazy, right? Number 3, the digital tablet. Traditionalists swore that digital drawing would ruin the physical craft, but instead, it massively expanded the entire entertainment, gaming, and animation industry. And that brings us to number 4, artificial intelligence. Guys, AI is not some anomaly that breaks the timeline. It is simply the next natural evolution in this exact same lineage. It's the new brush, the new camera, and the new stylus.
Moving on to Section 2, redefining the creative workflow, from grunt work to creative direction.
So how does this actually play out day to day? Well, we got to talk about the daily friction that artists face, redefining the workflow to see exactly how AI solves the most exhausting parts of the job. And this brilliantly illustrates the reality of the creative process. Look at the 90-10 rule of art projects. Ask literally any working pro and they'll tell you. For most projects, maybe 10% is that pure high-level inspiration. And the other 90%? Yeah, it's repetitive execution. It's manual frame-by-frame rotoscoping. It's meticulously painting every single leaf on a background tree. It's building tedious 3D geometry before you can even get to the fun part. That 90% is mechanical grunt work that completely drains an artist's energy and time.
Now contrast these two paradigms. Over on the left, you've got the traditional model, the artist doing grunt work, totally trapped in manual tasks and base geometry. But on the right, the new paradigm, the artist as creative director. By utilizing AI, you are delegating that 90% repetitive execution. And look, using AI isn't cheating, it's empowering delegation. It's the exact same workflow a lead creative director uses when handing off tedious tasks to a team of junior artists. Except now, a solo creator can scale their ambition to completely rival a multi-million-dollar studio. No joke.
Which brings us to Section 3, Curing Blank Page Syndrome, Rapid Iteration and Brainstorming.
Let's talk about the profound psychological benefits here. Because honestly, is there anything more intimidating to a creative mind than staring at a completely blank canvas wondering where to even begin? 1,000. Let that number just sit with you for a second. That is the number of what-if scenarios an AI can spit out for you in a matter of seconds. Think about the magnitude of that. You're no longer sitting there agonizing over the first stroke or the initial concept. The AI basically becomes your ultimate brainstorming partner, completely removing the friction from the ideation phase. You can test 1,000 wild ideas instantly just to find that one brilliant spark.
And you can do this across every single element of your design. Take lighting. Boom. You can generate and test incredibly complex, cinematic lighting setups instantly, without wasting hours dragging virtual lamps around. Same goes for color. In the exact same breath, you can swap and test entirely different color palettes. Warm, cool, moody, vibrant, all visualized and tested before you even commit to a final direction. And composition. Entire structural layouts and framing are iterated in the blink of an eye. The artist is no longer exhausted by the trial and error process. Instead, you're elevated to curating the best possible options from a wealth of instant structural choices.
So the crucial point is really captured perfectly in this metaphor here. The AI provides the clay, the artist provides the shape. I love this. AI only supplies the raw data, right? It's just pixels, it's noise, it's raw material dug out of the digital earth. It requires the human being to give it intent, direction, and a soul. You are the sculptor. The AI just ensures you never, ever run out of clay.
All right, Section 4, the Solo Studio Revolution, Democratization and Scale.
So what actually happens when you put limitless clay into the hands of a visionary? You get this massive equalizer effect. We're talking true democratization and scale. Look at these newfound powers of the solo creator. A single artist can now architect entire visual worlds. You can score your own films with custom symphonic compositions. You can generate complex 3D assets locally. High-end visual effects and professional animations are no longer locked securely behind massive corporate budgets or hundreds of staff members. Just imagine what you could build if financial and technical gates simply didn't exist for you. The barrier to entry has completely fallen.
But, okay, to truly own this power, we must ground these visionary concepts in practical reality for a second. That means understanding local execution. This is the practice of running local large language models and image generators directly on your own personal hardware. Why is this so vital? Because it keeps your proprietary artistic library completely private. It protects your intellectual property and avoids those arbitrary corporate usage limits or server downtimes. It puts the ultimate creative engine directly on your desktop, fully under your autonomous control.
And that leads us into Section 5, the irreplaceable human soul, intent over output.
This brings us to our final philosophical resolution. Because look, if a machine can perfectly render any image we describe, we kind of have to ask why the human element is actually more critical now than ever before. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how clearly it defines our value. On the left, you've got AI. It is a mirror. It can produce technically perfect output, sure, but it has no lived experience, no heartbreak, no genuine perspective on the world. On the right, you have the human, you. You are a source. You have lived experience, you felt pain, you felt joy, and you have pure intent. In a future world totally flooded with perfect AI-generated images, technical perfection becomes incredibly cheap. Therefore, the market and the audience will value the human story, the intent, and the lived perspective above all else. People don't just buy a pretty picture, they buy the story, the struggle, and the actual human being behind it.
So we arrive at our final thought. The future of art isn't human versus AI, it's the human augmented. Which leaves you with this memorable, provocative question to take away as we wrap up. Will you learn the language of the machine to amplify your human voice? The tools are here, they are waiting for your direction, and honestly, the only limitation left is your own imagination. Keep exploring, keep creating, and I will see you in the next explainer.